Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
The piece of advice I'd give to you, and I give it to American students, American conservatives in particular, is resist the temptation to think that victory is immediate or that we're going to win back our civilization through instant gratification. I mean, this institution was founded in 1996. It's far more influential than it was back then. But I think a lot of people, this is particularly true in the United States of America, if they see something that the administration does they don't like, they say, oh, that's not what we voted for. We're going to check out of politics. No. That's the exact wrong response. If we do something you don't like, the response should be to get more involved, to make your voice heard, and to try to push things in the direction that you want them to be pushed. Our civilization was not built overnight. It's not going to be saved overnight. And so what I'd encourage you to do is stay involved, be patient, and don't let disappointment turn to checking out of the system entirely. There's way too much of that, I would say, in the Anglo system and the American system. There's way too much, I didn't like this thing that the vice president said, or I didn't like this thing that the president did, and I'm going to completely check out. We call that blackpilling in the United States of America, and blackpilling is how you give power to the forces that are trying to destroy what our ancestors built. We need to take power back from those people and build the kind of institutions that can actually save our societies. It will not happen overnight. It will not happen in the term of one prime minister or one president, but it will happen so long as we keep our faith in God and we work hard to achieve it. That's what we have to do.
Hi, everyone. Patrick here. Don't worry, Joe is on the way. He's just held up in a meeting right now. So yeah, I'm here. That's J.D. Vance talking, Vice President J.D. Vance, talking about the battle that's going on within the country, but specifically warns about the quote-unquote blackpilling. Blackpilling is how you give power to the forces that are trying to destroy what our ancestors built. He has a problem with blackpilling. Well, then arrest somebody. Okay, the people in America are frustrated, both sides of the aisle. And the more and more we push for answers, the more and more we push for our way of life to come back to normalcy, we're told to sit down, shut up, keep it moving. So I don't understand what he's exactly talking about here. Okay, the American people are frustrated. Okay, what arrest, what accountability that has been promised to the American people has taken place since this administration has come into power? Roadblocks every which way, right? But there is still no accountability. Ready? Election fraud 2020. Who's being held accountable? Tina Peters, 9.5 years in jail. Court of Appeals just sent her back down for resentencing. Can't wait to see how that goes. Trump's he has issued her a pardon, called for a release. Polis says, well, maybe this, that, right? All political theater, all nonsense. The American people have had it. She deserves to be released. End of story. There's enough information out there. How about the abuse of the Colorado prison system, right? Where's that investigation gone? Has that investigation been completed? Has that, right? Where is that? How come she's not been pulled to be a witness into the abuses that have taken place in the Colorado prison system? Right? What about COVID fraud? Fauci, right? Where's any accountability with the COVID fraud, the lockdowns, the closure of businesses, the violation of our civil rights, the massive fraud portrayed on the American people to take away our freedoms, the mandated vaccination of millions of American people against their will just to hold on to their livelihood as a job? Where's the accountability there? Where's the transparency in the Butler shooting, the Charlie Kirk assassination? Where's the accountability in Russiagate? Okay, Tulsi Gabbard's been dropping bombs on social media, releasing documents talking about Obama colluded to overthrow the presidency of the United States, first term of President Donald J. Trump. Where are the arrests? Where's the accountability? War with Iran. Majority of the American people are against this war in Iran. Majority of American people want something done with the SAVED Act. And now they're trying to, you see what they're doing? Trying to get this Dignity Act, trying to slither something in here with a Dignity Act. We'll cover more about that during the week. But once again, nothing what the American people overwhelmingly voted for in this country is taking place every which way. Anyone remember DEI? We're going to root out DEI everywhere with what? With an EO? That's not enough. Where's the fight to uproot DEI and put legislation into practice, right? On the federal level, banning this. It is racial segregation. That's what DEI is. Okay, I literally got fired, literally written in court paperwork. I was fired because the district's mission of promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion outweighed plaintiffs' protective speech. If we do not need federal legislation to have protected speech in the workplace as far as equity training and rooting out DEI, I don't know what else to say. But there has been no movement, zero movement on the federal level on the DEI front. Certain states take it into their own hands, and kudos for them, good to them. But what about federally? Where is it? Nowhere to be found. Guess what's coming right back in once President Trump is out? That's coming, regardless of not if the American people want it or not. DEI is coming full-fledged down our throats. So there is nothing stopping it. There's no legislation. There's nothing being done. What about accountability, holding the judges in the court system that are harming the American people day in and day out, violating American civil rights, re-releasing criminal offenders onto the streets to reoffend, to victimize the American people? But yet these judges still collect their six-figure salaries. These federal judges still have their security details. They never have to deal with the carnage that they cause. Where's the accountability for them? Where's the talk about creating federal legislation that will allow for the removal of these judges? Where's any of this happening? Nowhere. So we talk, we bitch, we complain, and then you talk about us blackpilling. It's called reality, okay? We're not morons. Okay, we look around, we see what's happening in America, and we're like, what the hell is going on here? Why isn't this being done? 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 That's not blackpilling. That's saying, where's your campaign promises? That's all. Any movement on the border wall? I haven't heard anything about construction on a border wall going on. You know, so when J.D. Vance is sitting up there talking about blackpilling is a way to give power to forces, no, it's not. We're not giving any power. We're just calling out the blatant obvious that's going on. And if enough of us keep calling out the blatantly obvious garbage that is going on in America consistently, maybe it will break through the cone of silence that it has a chokehold on this White House. Just maybe. Because down here at ground level, the stuff we see every day that's going on, it's outrageous. And the people are going to check out. The people are going to, no, we can't check out. But the reality is you're going to lose people at the voting booths going forward. And I know the election fraud shit's a problem too that they've done nothing about. You have whistleblower testimony, you have all this shit that's out there, and yet nothing seems to move the needle. So then when you're talking about that, and I was on the phone last night with a couple buddies back in New York, and one of my buddies was talking about that, you know, Trump's driving them away from voting. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, you're going to vote Democrat? Nah, I'm going to vote best candidate. I'm like, okay. I said, what's your criteria for a best candidate then now? Like, if you voted Trump last time around, what's your criteria for best candidate now? And it's the same thing that Trump ran on. He wants. He's not going to get that from the Democratic side. He's simply not going to wind up voting. And that's going to happen to millions of people across the country because they feel like they've been betrayed. Because nothing has been done to move. And now we're being saying blackpilling's the cause. No, blackpilling's not a problem here. Blackpilling is actually what happens when nothing happens that has been promised that's going to happen. And there are easy, simple solutions when you dominate Congress that you can pass legislation to get shit done, but you choose not to. Because those in charge love the chaos, they love the division because it enshrines their power, their money, their family's success. All while us here at the ground level has to deal with the fallout of their ineptitude up top. But they don't care about it because all they care about is lining their pockets, making sure they're set up, and making sure they're isolated from us on the day-to-day. Ever see a politician shopping at Sam's Club on the weekend? No. But they sit front row at the Rockies game. Right, Polish? Right, Burbert? Right? You get that stuff all going on. And then I'm sure you're not parked parked behind the left field bleachers out there either. I'm sure you got your security detail ready right there with the cars out on 20th. As soon as the game's over, whoop, whip them up, out. Make sure it's shut down. Make sure they get quick highway access. Whoop, gone. Because you don't want to see the peasants. Right? Quick access. Make sure you don't see the peasants. Right? What have the American people gotten? And then Bongino calls us bitches and all this other shit online. Right? The guy that promised and put his reputation, oh, I'm going to, right? Well, he came around 10 months later with his tail between his legs. Blackpilling. No, it's not blackpilling. It's actually just being a critical thinker and actually putting things together. And I thought about this earlier today when I was just putting gas in the car, looking at the price, like, wow, okay, gas around $3.55 out here, all right. But we produce more gas than the Middle East, but yet why is our gas going up if we don't get our gas from the middle, right? How does that work? I don't understand. Maybe I'm an idiot. I ask why and how typically. That's kind of what my 4-year-old does. And if my 4-year-old knows I'm lying to him, he asks me why and how. And if I can't answer those two questions back to back, I'm a liar, right? And so think about everything that the federal government says to you, right? Just simply follow up with why or how. Simple, right? That's critical thinking. That's like looking beneath the layer. And it's not hard, right? It's not hard. My 4-year-old knows to do this. We know to do this. So it's not blackpilling. It's actually just like, what the hell is happening here? We trusted you guys. We gave you a mandate here in America. Don't turn. And you want us to get active. So we are getting active on social media. And then what happens on social media? You get throttled down when you hit on certain topics. It's crazy. It's crazy. No joke. Like, for example, we started talking about certain topics a couple weeks ago, and Joe's reach on X seemed to actually start going down. No kidding. I watch the numbers pretty religiously. It's part of my job. I see what's going on. And, we've had some clips that get 10,000 views, right? Then slowly 8,000. Now we're down to maybe 1,000, right? So it's been a slow throttle over the past month, I would say. But what was funny is during the middle of that throttling, Joe actually posted an apology to Kash Patel about some information Joe heard about, and he just wants to say, sorry, I was misinformed, right? Issue an apology to Kash Patel. That thing got 125,000 views. Right? They control the narrative whenever they want. And that's X, right? Whose platform is that? Elon Musk. Elon Musk talked about launching a third party a while ago. Whoop, where was he come this past January? Right there, back. Oh no, we're back home in the Republican side, right? So like, yeah, the American people, what's going on here? What's going on here? I don't know how and why. Black pillar. Nope. Truth seeker, reality liver, American, right? Like, that's simply what we all are for the most part. And we just look to understand. And when we don't get the answers, but yet online, you can find all these other different people that are doing the research, investigative reporters, influencers, whatever you want to call them. But their documentation, their storytelling make a lot of sense in different lanes, right? But yet our government is just lip tight and quiet about so many things that us, the American people, want an answer for. Blackpilling. So yeah, we do have a guest today. Doc Pete Chambers, running for governor in Texas. He is being very kind and patient, waiting for Joe to join us, which should be momentarily soon. But before Joe hops in here, we're going to move ahead a little bit in the show. I don't know if you guys have heard recently or not. There's been a ceasefire, allegedly, in the Middle East with Iran, U.S., and Israel. But did we really have a ceasefire? Play cut one. See one?
Bombing Hezbollah in Lebanon. And as you mentioned a moment ago, breaking right now, Iranian state media says Iran is closing the Strait of Hormuz again in response. So I'm John Roberts in Washington. Sandra, I take it that threat is not going to go over well with President Trump.
Yeah, we've got the latest on the market movement because the markets are tracking all of this. I'm Sandra Smith in New York. So, John, this is America Reports, and President Trump is telling the New York Post top officials, including Vice President J.D. Vance, could be heading to Pakistan for talks very soon.
So yeah, overnight, early this morning, agreement was reached upon, ceasefire for 2 weeks. return to your neutral corners. Let's open up the Strait of Hormuz. Let's get global energy moving through the strait out all over, right? There's been shortages in Asia, Thailand, Philippines. I know some nations have actually started to regulate what days of the week you drive your car on, kind of like what happened back here in the 70s. But yeah, so we had a pause. And then if you heard the very beginning of that clip, Iran shut down the strait again today because Israel's attacking Lebanon. Ceasefire is agreed upon. Cool. Open up the shipping lanes. Let oil start flowing again. Let natural gas start flowing again. Maybe we don't have a food shortage come the fall harvest because there's no fertilizer, right? Hopefully that doesn't happen. Prices ain't gonna spike through the roof. Within a couple hours of that happened, carpet bombing, I believe, apartment buildings in Lebanon from the videos I was seeing today online. But then, if you put this post up, this is from Al Jazeera, so take it for what it's worth, but I did verify this through other sources, including Reuters and others, but Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu supports the 2-week ceasefire announced by U.S. President Trump, but says the pause does not include Lebanon, despite Pakistan saying it does. What is this guy's problem? You have a chance to stop it. You have the chance to stop the carnage. You have a chance to stop your nation getting bombed. Okay, but there's a massive censorship in Israel, but Israel's getting smacked with Iranian missiles. Okay, that's happening too. Israeli citizens are dying, and they don't want this. Joe said it, I agree with him. I've seen, they do not want this war either. But yet they're pawns in the game, right? Because Bibi's under indictment, right? He's facing charges in his home country. No one talks about this anymore, but don't forget, Bibi's facing corruption charges in his own country, right? What better way to prevent facing those charges than to make sure you have chaos all the time? Has anyone not put this together yet? Has no one put this together yet? Right? Bibi's facing charges. And also, let's not forget, the judge overseeing his trial was killed bicycling, I think 2 or 3 months ago. Story really never got much traction, but that happened as well. So if that happens, this guy just wants to go off the rail. We have peace talk. No, Lebanon, no. Hezbollah over there, no. But yet the bombings I see seem to be taking place in cities and places where people are working and living. Tells me this guy wants to just invalidate this peace agreement, this ceasefire, and just have all hell continuously breaking loose. It just never stops. You have a chance for a break. Take it. Take it. See what happens. But they don't even give a couple hours before no. Lebanon doesn't count. Okay. Who is dictating what goes on our foreign policy side? It's beyond frustrating to watch all this every day. It really is. So you have that stuff going on in the world. Here we're still fighting the cultures war every day on the battlegrounds because our federal and state leaders, depending where you live, are doing nothing to fight DEI, or they're actually encouraging DEI, right? Very few states are doing something to fight back against the leftist agenda, illegal immigration, right? DEI on different state levels, right? But take a look at what Mississippi's doing. Mississippi.
Proposals. You are proposing a bill to make illegal immigration a state crime, basically make arrest in the state of illegal immigrants without federal oversight. What is the state auditor? Why is the state auditor interested in that issue?
Yeah, I'll tell you, we did an analysis last year and found that state taxpayer funds actually go to a variety of different programs that benefit illegal immigrants. So healthcare programs, education programs, of course, criminal justice costs are driven up when an illegal immigrant in Mississippi commits a crime. We found that the state spends about $100 million each year on illegal immigration here in Mississippi. And so that money really needs to be going to teachers' salaries, cops' salaries, tax cuts, roads and bridges, the stuff that makes our lives better. So how do we crack down on illegal immigration? Well, we need to be helping ICE and helping our federal partners do their job and enforcing illegal immigration laws here in the state of Mississippi.
What an idea. The state of Mississippi is looking to make illegal immigration a state crime and will arrest you and then throw you to ICE. Wow. Doesn't that seem that should be a logical logical process for all other 49 states to follow? Or a process that our federal government can just come down and just slap that into law? Doesn't that seem so simple, to put American people before illegal aliens? And did you hear the rationale behind that too? Sorry, excuse me. But the rationale behind that too, right? Illegal immigration cost Mississippi taxpayers roughly $100 million per year in education, healthcare, and crime. I believe $100 million is a decent amount of money. I believe $100 million could easily go back into helping the people of Mississippi, the tax-paying citizens of Mississippi, all throughout, right? Medical, educational, right? That's $100 million. But it doesn't. Instead, that goes to subsidize illegal aliens that come here that have not put into the system. So that's a net loss. That's $100 million off the rip net loss. There's been no put in by them into the system. That's just $100 mil coming out. Whoop. All at the expense out of this other bucket sitting over here, the ones that actually put into it. And then you put into that bucket, right? You put in, and then when you go to go get medical treatment or whatever else from the hospital, you get charged 3.5 times the price because you gotta supplement the medical care for that group also. So you get hit all over the place. Ding, 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 car insurance, ding, right? It happens all over the place. This is so practical, so simple. Now think about $100 million in Mississippi alone. And Mississippi is not a heavy populated state. So think about what this looks like on the national level. With all 50 states, how much money this takes up. But us as Americans, no. No, can't talk about it, can't speak about it. And if you do, you're a racist. So you need to shut up and sit down. No, it's a logical discussion that needs to be had, because the Americans that put into the system should be the ones that have a voice in the system. But for some reason, the ones that fund the system are the ones told to go to the back of the line all the time. And we've allowed that to happen. Systemically over generations, right? The go along to get along mentality. And the communists love that mentality because they know they could just keep taking inch by inch by inch by inch by inch. Because we go along to get along. Well, no, it's all good. Yeah, I didn't mean to offend. No, not me. Here we are. And you're not even offending when you just advocate for America. That's not offensive. But by the definition of the left's language, advocating for America is offensive. And you deserve to be crushed for that, because we cannot have pride in America. We can't have a belief that this is the greatest country ever, even though this is the country that everyone comes to, no matter where they are from the rest of the world. Say, I want to go live in America. Yep, I want to go live in the most systemically racist nation ever created right now in 2026. Yep, boom, coming in hot. Boom, I want to know what it feels like to be oppressed, baby, in America. Well, if you want to know how it feels like to be oppressed in America, be a white male. Be a white Christian male that loves America. You want to know what it's like to be oppressed? I got you all beat there. Okay, no one's lost their job because they loved America. I have. I haven't been allowed to get into courts either. And now I just got a heads up about my 3-judge panel. Ooh. The 3-judge panel that I just got in my appellate hearing that's happening on May 12th is absurd. I got to find this. I'm sorry. I didn't know I was going to bring this up today, but yeah, I went there. I got to find it. Here it is. Hold on. Okay, so I have Judge Scott M. Matheson, Jr. He was appointed by President Barack Obama in 2010. Ideology, he's a liberal, left-leaning. He is a Democrat with a background in Democrat politics, former U.S. attorney under Clinton and Democrat candidate for Utah governor. He is generally considered one of the more liberal judges on the 10th Circuit. That's one. Second judge, Judge Nancy Moritz, appointed by President Barack Obama 2014. Ideology, liberal, left-leaning. She previously served on the Kansas Supreme Court and is viewed as a reliable liberal vote on the 10th Circuit. Hey, that's 2 out of 3. Can I go? By the way, there's 12 judges. There's 12. Hold on, it gets better. There's 12 judges on the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals, federally out here in Colorado. There's 12 judges. Every appellate case gets a 3-judge panel. The makeup of the courts is 7 Democratic appointed judges, 5 Republican appointed judges. You heard my 2 so far. We got number 3. What do you think here? Judge number 3, Veronica S. Russman, appointed by Oltmann President Joe Biden. Liberal, left-leaning. She's a former public defender and is considered one of the more progressive judges on the court. So I am 0 for 3, baby. I have not one conservative judge that will be hearing my oral arguments on May 12th. Let's go on. This is all through Grok AI search, by the way, right? This is not my personal opinion. I want to make sure we all hear this. I'm sorry in case this gets queued up anywhere. This is all from Grok AI. This is not Patrick Hogarty speaking about the judges in front of him. This is according to Grok AI search. Just so we all know. Okay? According to Grok AI, this panel is one of the least favorable possible draws for a First Amendment challenge to a school district's DEI enforcement. Conservative or parental rights groups often describe panels like this as stacked on educational culture war cases. So that's what I'm going up against. They lied to me about why they fired me. They said they admitted to in court paperwork that diversity, equity, inclusion outweigh my protected speech. This all took place during a professional development training where I was told to speak my truth. I said I love this country. The director of equity then deemed my comments as having racist undertones. And I lost my job and career for that. I want to, and by the way, the district also argues that everything that comes out of my mouth during the workday must be district approved. So when I was asked a personal question of how I identify, and I stated I'm an American that loves this country, that was against district policies, what they're arguing. Just so we're clear. It's not part of their job duties. Do we hear how absurd that sounds? But yet when they fired me, they didn't have the balls to say that to my face. They knew they couldn't say that to my face. So here we are going through the court system, and the lower level federal, Regina Rodriguez, smack me around. Oh, American? Oh, you can't say that at work. What? You can't. Get out of here. Dismissed. Beep, beep. So here we got these 3 judges. We'll see what we have here. The case is really a no-brainer. Anyone in America would understand what happened to me. It's work retaliation, First Amendment. Everyone understands it. Even liberals that have heard this story from me are like, wow, you can't fire someone for that. I'm like, no shit, but I haven't even been able to get into the courtroom for 2 years because the court system is corrupt as shit. And now what I have is here, I got these 3 stacked liberal judges out of 7 sitting on my panel to hear this First Amendment case. I asked Grok, what were the chances of getting a stacked panel like this? 1 in 220, 0.45% was the chance of pulling a judge panel to hear a First Amendment case like this out of the 10th Circuit that is supposedly randomized. Totally random, that the slam dunk of all slam dunks, civil rights, work retaliation cases against equity and DEI has to go up against the 3 most liberal judges on the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals out here in Colorado. But that's just random, not by design. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that. That's where I'm at. I don't even know how I got there, but I got there, right? Oh yeah, because the federal government has done nothing to protect the regular American from suffering under DEI. It's not even a conversation anymore. Has there been a conversation? Have you heard any chirping about, oh, we need to outlaw DEI, we need to make sure critical race theory? It's racism. It is practicing racism in schools. That's what CRT in DEI is. It is practicing racism in schools. But you think any leaders are doing anything about it at the federal level to make sure that is knocked off? Nope. Anyone passing laws about transgenderism and eliminating boys in girls sports? Nope. Anyone doing about election fraud? Nope. Everyone's just sitting on their hands and asses. I'm glad Mississippi is doing something. Maybe Mississippi is a state people should consider moving to. Mississippi just made it to my list. Just because, hey, why not? Why not just get a bang for my buck as an American taxpayer? You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm at. And as we go forward, right, and we just talked about the transgenderism, and I don't know if you remember this, but a week or two ago, we played a clip where there was a college athlete testifying at a House hearing. I forgot what state it was in, but we played it here on the show. And the politician that was the Democrat politician, but of course, was questioning the young female athlete about her heart and her desire of being a woman athlete, her competitive spirit. And I'm like, holy shit. Because the lady that was the Democratic rep, I gotta try and find that clip, but the Democratic rep was talking about, you know, I was a college athlete and I wouldn't mind to compete against a male, right? But it goes down to what type of competitive person you are. Well, that seems to have taken root now. That seems to be taking root. Play cut 4, please.
If your daughter doesn't want to compete against trans women in sports, maybe your daughter just shouldn't play sports. Ever thought about that? Maybe she just doesn't have that competitive spirit. Maybe she's just mediocre. Maybe she's not that good. Because you know what? There are cis women that beat out the boys every single freaking day. So if your daughter is making all of these excuses because she thinks that a trans woman has biological advantages over her, which is probably brainwashing that you cause, if she's complaining about the biological advantages that trans women have, she's going to complain about the biological advantages that cis women have, okay? What if there's a cis girl on her team that's 6 feet tall? Is she going to complain? What if there's a cis girl on her team that has extra large feet and so has great balance? Is she going to complain? What if there's a cis girl who has extra long arms? Is she going to complain? She's going to complain about every damn thing, okay? So maybe it's time to hang it up, okay? Accept the mediocrity and go on to play piano or something like that, okay?
That's absolutely disgusting. How about she's a woman, she deserves to compete against other women. And if other women are taller or stronger than her, so be it. They're genetically equal. But the mental retardation in people, I know, right? But geez, my wow, the low IQ. The low IQ individual like that goes out there and starts talking all this type of nonsense. Well, she's going to maybe play against girls with bigger feet and longer arms, so she'll just complain about that. Okay, does she have to play against an athlete that has a penis between their legs? Does she have a right to complain about that? Does she have a right to complain that she's in the locker room getting changed out and there's a guy walking around there with a penis swinging freely around? She doesn't have a right to complain about that. And this is the problem with the leftists. This is their mentality. Title IX was designed to protect women, and now the Democrats have hijacked it and flipped it on its head to where now they want men competing against women and then call you a bigot if you don't support it, and then say your daughter needs to drop out of sports if she can't accept it. That's where we are in 2026. The lunacy is out of the bottle. And there are no safeguards or rails being put into place by our leaders at the top to root this shit out. So we could complain about it, we could bitch about it, we could talk about it, we could spread awareness about it. But at the end of the day, once the left has their political power in their strongholds and then federally, they're going to ram this down our throats every which way. And people are like, whoa, what happened? What happened? How did this happen? I can't, you believe they're doing this? Do you believe this? Do you believe this is happening? Yeah, this is going to happen. Like, holy shit, this is going to happen, people. And then your daughters are the ones that aren't going to be playing sports anymore because it's going to be dominated by mental retards that are playing sports for that think they're girls when they're boys because they're raised by liberal women. That's all it is, right? Like transgenderism happens in social pockets. It doesn't happen in isolation. It happens in social pockets. It happens when you're exposed to it. It happens when you live it. It happens when you're bred in it. Then you become it, right? It's logically what happens. I've witnessed it happen at school, right? One kid shows up as a tranny, then one of the friends starts questioning, then a week later the other friend does, and then they get told how great they are, that another kid wants to be part of that because they need to feel that social clout. That's what happens. And then you want those people then to then go into sports to then dominate young ladies because they are bigger and stronger once they get to the high school level. It's true, they go through puberty. Okay, we played on a show a couple months ago, a young lady wrestling, I forgot what state, maybe Minnesota, maybe Washington, but was wrestling and was getting sexually assaulted by the transgender athlete that was competing against her because his fingers were rubbing on her vagina in a wrestling match. No young lady should have to think about this while they're trying to compete. Ever. No young lady should think what they're going to see when they walk in a girl's locker room. Other than I'm going to see other females there, I'm going to feel safe. They shouldn't think that. They shouldn't have to think that when they walk into a restroom either. But here we are in 2026 where we need to defend women just to have spaces that they're entitled to because we're supposed to be living in a sane and normal society. But it seems like we have to fight these every which way, every which turn, because the left doesn't care, right? The left just got shot down in the Supreme Court. Colorado just got shut down in the Supreme Court 8-1 that you can't censor speech in the workplace with a therapist, right? So what did the state legislature out here in Colorado said, whoop, time out, hold my beer. I'm just going to change this around. We're going to make sure we can do this. Bop. Okay, now we could just sue the therapist for not doing gender affirming care. And now they know once that gets passed into law, then a lawsuit has to start, right? And then the whole process starts over again, right? 8 to 12 months, then appeal another 8 to 12 months, then another appeal, another 8 to 12, and then boom, okay, get up to, all right, 4 years later, right? But think about all the ground that they're able to lay after the 4 years by just shoving through this bullshit bill that they consider legal because they're changing the definition, even though it's doing the same thing that the previous bill was doing, just differently. The left doesn't care. They pound, pound, pound. And once again, no one does anything at the top to shut this down. Okay, willful ignorance, right? Or special interest, right? It's compliance or willful ignorance. You take your pick. You take your pick. But either which way, it's us, the American people, that constantly just get, whoa, oh, who's that down there? Oh, is that Pat? Oh, hey, Pat, how you doing? Yeah, okay, see you. That's what we get. That's what we get. Get the flyover, we got some deportations going on, give you little crumbs here and there. But collectively as a whole, America just constantly continues to cede land and power to the left. You know, city after city, state after state, county after county, state seat after state seat. It just constantly keeps happening. And then you got Mamdani, my man Mamdani, out in New York, just doing work for equity, talking about how the white income household average is around $200,000. The black average household income is around $20,000. We got to do something about it. Well, he did talk about what he wanted to do about it months ago that he's been allowed to kind of quietly walk away from, but he talked about wanting to tax whiter neighborhoods in New York City at a higher rate, right? So he wants to target white people to hit them with taxes. He's also looking to help the criminals out. Let's play cut 5.
We stand here together at New York City Health and Hospitals Bellevue opening an outposted therapeutic housing unit for incarcerated individuals, the first facility of its kind. I am deeply grateful to the many advocates and activists who have fought tirelessly to advance a more just and compassionate approach to carceral care. And I want to thank the district attorneys, public defenders, and judges who are doing the work to speed case processing and reduce our jail population. I am also proud to be joined here by our public advocate, Jumaane Williams, by our Manhattan Borough President, Brad Hoylman-Siegel, our Councilman, Yusuf Salam, our Councilwoman, Gail Brewer, and our Councilwoman, Sylvina Brooks-Powers, as well as a number of leaders from our city administration. Now, for decades, the daily conditions at Rikers have been calamitous and unsafe. Rikers, as we know, is broken. 2 weeks ago, 2 men suffered medical emergencies and died while in DOC custody. These are not isolated incidents. More than 100 people have died on Rikers since 2015. The facilities at Rikers have long languished in disrepair, creating the conditions for violence and putting those with health conditions at serious risk. So
Comrade Mamdani's there basically just opened up a 5-star luxury resort for criminals to get rehab at, and then continue to talk about how awful the system is for the criminals and that he has judges working as fast as they can to make sure they're able to get back out onto the streets as possible. Yeah, that's going to go well, right? Yeah, the justice system isn't perfect, but at the end of the day, you should not be allowed re-releasing criminal offenders over and over again onto the streets, okay? We have seen it over and over again. 30, 40 times someone's been released into the streets, they constantly reoffend, constantly reoffend, constantly reoffend. Why do you consistently want to allow criminal offenders back onto the streets unless it's not to make sure there's chaos all the time? Right, and I'm not saying you're like telling the criminals to go do chaos, but you know what criminals are gonna do. So hey, here you go. There you go, out on the streets. Run free, young lads, and prosper. And then you know what you get from that. Petty theft, sexual assaults, robbery, murders, all the above. And then instead of making sure you keep the criminals in jail, you just make Mamdani and the left want to make sure they keep pushing them out, right? It's all by design, right? All this stuff is always by design, okay? The majority of American people don't believe that should happen. The majority of American people believe if you commit crimes, you should do the time. It's not that hard. But yet you have these cities and states that are run by these criminal cartels that say, no, these criminals are the victims here, not you that got your leg broken, not you that had your daughter murdered, not you that had your son hit by a drunk illegal alien, not you that had your wife sexually abused by a criminal. No, you guys, no. You're not the victims here. You are not the victims. You hear me? You're not the victims. This man that raped your child, he's the victim of the society. He's the victim of the system. He's the victim. We need to make sure he's whole again. You, away, peasants. And that's what the left do. That's what the left does. Social justice. Equity. It's all about targeting specific groups of people and taking what they have and making them victims in their own society to make sure others get what they have had. That's all it is. That's what the left does. Communism 101, right? Create these divisions, right? Create all this, take from yours, eventually force the drawdown, force the fight in the streets, force the shock troops to come in, right? Force it all, all under the guise of equity and social justice. That's what they do. And take a look what Massachusetts is doing. what they just did, okay? Once again, this is the Northeast quadrant, right? The real beginning of our nation, if you think about that, East Coast, but specifically the Northeast. New York was an important harbor, right? You had Ellis Island, you had New York City, where everyone would just get dropped off at the right there on the docks and go. And then you had up north of New York City, you got Providence, Rhode Island, you got Massachusetts. You have that Northeast Connecticut. You got that Northeast corridor that where a lot of the good of this nation originally came from is now simply overrun by communist filth. Check out cut 6.
When you talk to the governor talks about what's going on in her state. She says Massachusetts is not a sanctuary state, but Boston's a sanctuary city. Do you think that the state is operating like a sanctuary state at this point?
100%. And that's one of the frustrating things for us. And what I'd say for the governor's office is we've had individual law enforcement agencies and state agencies reach out and say, hey, we want to turn this individual over to you. They're wanted for murder in El Salvador. So how is, or like the sex offenders you saw today, they're already known registered sex offenders on the Massachusetts probation rolls. Why would you not turn someone over that's been previously deported? To me, that just makes no sense. And again, like the person we arrested that was living across the street from a playground. So you have a deported sex offender that the state knew about living across the street from a playground.
Tell me again, blue cities and blue states support the American people and care about you. Tell me how this is going to be any different when they come back into power. Okay, just to understand that, the Massachusetts governor, Maura Healey, was fully aware that there was a criminal, illegal alien, pedophile living across the street from a playground and did not cooperate with ICE. How much disdain do you have for the American people? How much do you care more about your principle of communism and the principle of that than you do the citizens you're supposedly sworn in to protect? Or do you see your citizen just as equal as an illegal alien? You believe they are one and the same? Because that's what the left really does believe, is that there is no difference between an American citizen that's been here or a criminal illegal alien that's been here. And in most cases, they believe the criminal illegal alien's a little bit higher, hold them in higher regard than the American citizen, because the American citizen has been responsible for the oppression of those people. So in reality, she actually probably wants to see an American child raped by a criminal illegal alien because that's a form of payback. Why else won't you cooperate to deport someone like that out of your city or state? Thank goodness the Trump administration is in charge of ICE, and they're actually like going to do this stuff. You think the Biden administration, you think whoever's coming in next? No, they're going to disband ICE. They're going to boot ICE out. They're going to arrest ICE agents. Are you for real? You know the pain that's coming for ICE agents under the next regime? It's going to be absurd. It's going to be Nuremberg 2.0 here in America for ICE agents. Are you kidding me? They're going to put all of them up. They're going to charge them with all different types of shit. Hate crimes, racism, violation of civil rights. Watch. They're going to do it all to them. Then they'll throw them in jail. Then they'll go after their families. They'll go after their houses. And guess who will be living in them? The criminal illegal aliens that they tried deporting. Transfer. And that would be the reparations to the criminal illegal aliens, right? Because there's already been talk about that, right? You've heard about it out of Minnesota, Minneapolis specifically. They're talking about offering reparations to the criminal illegal aliens that were offended by the massive ICE deportations that took place up there, that they were scared, right? They couldn't go to work, so they couldn't pay rent. So, right, Minneapolis is paying, Minneapolis is going to be paying their rent, back pay their rent because they couldn't go out. They're going to make sure they get compensated for the trauma that they endured. If I'm in Minnesota, I'll be pissed. I'm an American, I'm pissed. But if I'm in Minnesota, I'm more pissed that you just simply don't care. And all that money that they continuously pay out to these illegal aliens, where does it come from? It doesn't come from illegal aliens putting it into the system. It all comes from the backs of us. It all comes from the backs of the Americans that work their asses off, work their asses to the bone, make sure they pay their taxes on time because they know the full weight of government would come cracking down on their head if they didn't. That is the sad reality. That's what I get as a taxpayer citizen. I don't get access to the courts. I don't get a fair hearing. I don't get to say I'm an American, proud American, and keep my job. But as an American, I make sure I know that the IRS and the federal government come crack down on me if I'm off of my taxes in a couple of weeks. Actually, next week, shit. Good thing I did them already, right? See, I did them already, right? Because I know better, And it's bullshit. We shouldn't be paying taxes. I'm conditioned to pay taxes. I don't get a damn thing for the money I put into this country, except to be told I'm a racist, I'm a piece of shit, I deserve to lose my job. What else? We could bomb the shit out of anybody we want. You can't say anything about it. We can censor people. You can't say shit about, right? The whole 9 yards. What do I get for it? Get nothing. Get more gray hair every day. Get aggravated. Walk around pissed. My wife's like, you guys stop being angry all the time. I'm like, I can't turn it off. This is like therapy for me. It's crazy. I'm like, I can't turn this off. And then I literally just found out today my 3-judge panel, and I'm like, yo, come on. Can I get a reprieve somewhere? And then it dawned on me. And I got to remind myself of this. God wants to hear my case. That's why it's going this way. God wants my case to be heard. I don't mean God wants to hear my case. God wants the people to hear my case. So the journey logically has to be long. Logically has to be hard. I don't want it to be long. I don't want it to be hard. I think it's been long already. But in God's time, man, this ain't long at all. God's got eternity. Right? So like, a couple of years isn't that long. That's like a blink of an eye for God. Oh, wow. What is this? 200 AD? Okay, blank. Oh, where am I? 1000 AD? Boom. Where am I? Renaissance? Boom. Oh, 2026. They're coming to the moon again. Right? Just like, yeah, all in due time, right? But it's gonna give me, it's gonna give the platform. It's gonna put DEI at the forefront eventually, up on the constitutional level. It has to, right? That's how I have to view it. That's the way it's got to be. I just got to remind myself every time when I get frustrated that it's part of God's plan. I've done all I can do. I have gained legal counsel. We have filed suit. I have done everything I can do. It is out of my hands until it's not. And that's up to God when that's going to happen. Tells me he wants it to happen. That's why he's making the road so hard. He's teaching me patience. He's teaching me patience and kindness and grace and humility. Yeah. And speaking of all this, right, we're talking about how Minneapolis is hitting back the illegal immigrants with reparations. Well, we got the concept of reparations coming back to Congress. Take a listen to Democratic Rep Al Green, my dude that's been kicked out of the State of Union address. Here he is.
We've got to reconcile our differences. So we need a Secretary of Reconciliation, just as we have a Secretary of Education, a Secretary of Labor. We need a Secretary of Reconciliation who will report directly to a president, not this president, directly to a president. And the job would be to reconcile our differences, and that reconciliation for me, I say this with no shame, no embarrassment. I am unapologetically black. And I say this, that would include reparations for the 240 years of free labor that people still benefit today from, and that we were locked out of opportunities along the way while they were benefiting. So I believe in reparations. And Reverend, there are some people who don't want reparations, but here's my solution to that. I'll take their share.
You hear that piece of trash? You hear that racist piece of trash? That piece of garbage, right? We are well past this. But once again, the idea of reparation needs to come up. We need to pay back. We need a Secretary of Reconciliation in the next administration. You're telling me the left ain't going to push that one hard? Of course they will. And then you hear that guy, oh, you don't want it? I'll take it. What's his net worth? You know what? I'm doing I just thought of that now. Grok search. Here we go. What is the net worth of Rep. Al Green? Anyone want to take a guess in the chat real quick? Anybody real quick in the chat? Anyone? Anyone? OpenSecrets.org puts his net worth at $5.37 million for 2018. That's in 2018. Where's 2025? Where's 2026? And this guy's gonna sit up there, multimillionaire, snake, disgusting piece of shit. Oh, they don't want, oh, I'll take it. No, I don't got enough for me. I don't got enough for me. I'll take it. And then he's up there with another grifter, right? No, that's what these leftists do. All they are grifters. Oh, here we go. The longtime congressman, not the unrelated soul singer, Al Green, whose net worth is worth, oh, no, sorry. In 2025, he's around $10 million, according to several 2025 media and summary sources published mid-2025 or later, estimate Rep. Al Green's net worth at around $10 million as of 2025. His congressional salary is $174K. His pension is around $3 million in disclosure. His real estate holdings, DCG and DC property, investment in stocks, bonds, and other assets. These 10 million estimates appear in outlets like Finance Monthly and various social media summaries. So yeah. Okay, reparations, but if they don't want them, I'll take them. I don't need it, but I'll take, right? That's the mentality. That's the mentality of all of them in charge, all these grifters, all the ones that talk about how systemically awful we are as a nation, how horrible we've been. So, Mr. Green, if we're so bad and your people have been held down for so long, why is your net worth what it is? How were you able to achieve what you did? The other grifter next to him, how was he able to achieve what he did? If we're so systemically oppressive and racist and we don't allow any minorities to get ahead ever here in America? Anyone from the rooftops? Anyone from row A? Anyone got anything to say about that? Right, because it's all bullshit. And yet we have retards in America that are programmed by the school system to believe that this bullshit is true, that we are systemically oppressive and we keep minorities down. No, we do not. If you work hard, you provide a good service, you're articulate, you handle your business, you can succeed here in America. Does it look pretty? Nope. Is it hard? Yup. End of story. Once again, why does everyone from around the world want to come to the most systemically racist country ever? I don't understand. I just don't get it. I really don't understand. People willfully leave their homeland, everything they know, their culture, their family, their roots. They leave that country willingly to go to another country where they're going to be systemically oppressed against. Got it. Make that make sense. I don't understand. And yet, no one... People on the left are like, oh, yeah, America, we're racist. Yeah, we're oppressive. ICE bad. It's absolutely absurd what we have going on. But yeah, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back. So stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Joe, Supreme Leader of DCF Guns. What is DCF Guns, you ask? We're the best damn gun store and range in the universe. Do we have guns? We have all the guns. We got small guns. We got big guns. We even have beastly guns. We offer all types of training, and we have 5 ranges across our 3 locations. I'm a good shot. And of course, we have all types of ammo. We even have flamethrowers. Woo! We offer incredible membership opportunities, and members save even more on guns, ammo, and accessories. Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter. It's hot. In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Hey everyone, thanks for staying with us. Ooh, that was a lot. That was a lot. But you know, it's just tough. It's tough when you see what's going on in our country and in the world, and you really realize how much little control you actually have over a lot of things. It's frustrating. And I just appreciate you staying with me today, allowing me to vent and just freely talk about topics that are on my mind, right? I'm still waiting for Joe to hop in. Unfortunately, our guest, Doc Pete Chambers, had to go. So I do apologize for that. I thought we were able to facilitate that conversation today. I hope he'll be willing to come back. But yeah, Doc's a great guy running for governor in Texas, and you know what? He what I want us to play is, there was a clip that I want us to play. Austin, if you could cue up B1. We had a cut that I took off of Doc Chambers' X page. I want you guys to take a look at what Governor Abbott was celebrating.
As long as I'm governor of this great state, Texas will be a land for the Indian community, a land for and we will continue to celebrate Diwali here in the great state of Texas. So happy Diwali, everybody. Happy Diwali.
Okay, yeah, it's Governor Abbott down in Texas talking about Texas will be land for the Indian community and celebrating Diwali. And that's a conservative, guys. That needs to send red flags every which way. Okay, and if people haven't been paying attention, I know Texas is a big state. I know it's massive. But they do have an immigration issue going on of Muslims and Indians in Texas right now. And it seems like the governor is supportive of this. So, or at least partially supportive of it. I've also seen videos of pushing of Islamification of areas in Texas going on. I do know he did sign something designating the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization. So that was nice of him to see that. But I also see this. I'm like, wishy-washy? No hard line? No, because there's money to be made here. He's talking to this community because there's money to be made through the visa programs. Right? Bring in foreign workers. They out-reproduce the Americans 2 to 1, sometimes 3 to 1. If you took a look at yesterday's show, you saw about the birth rates here in America for the first time ever. Less than 50% of the people born in America were to white women. Less than 50% of the newborn population was less than white here in America. Yeah. That's a thing going on. Replacement theology, changing America from a white Christian nation to a multicultural melting pot. And where can you say you're better now in 2026 than we were in 2018, 2010? 2001, 2004, right? There was a unifying American culture, but that doesn't exist anymore. The unifying American culture has been washed away. And it's been done in a lot part because we've allowed this type of unchecked migration into our country. And then when we do say, no, we can't do something, then the ACLU, no, you can't do something, then the ACLU comes in, they slap you with a civil rights lawsuit, and then the radical judges rule in favor of the ACLU, which then basically takes away the rights of Americans and gives them to foreigners. It's the most absurd thing I've seen. It's crazy. We covered, what was it, the story yesterday, I think it was? There's a story the other day. Oh, no, it was that the ACLU fought for slaughtering animal sacrifices in the houses in Hammerak, Michigan. That's what it was, right? So like, what? Yeah, and they argued religious freedom under that, right? So just think about what the context of religious freedom and how could it be weaponized against American cultures and American values. Think about that. And that's what the ACLU does. And then the ACLU does, no, this is all about inclusivity and that everybody, yeah, bullshit. It's about eroding the American values. It's about eroding American principles. That's what goes on, right? Like that, So in Michigan, you can actually practice animal sacrifice, and it's legal because it was voted on by the Muslim majority town council. So if you're telling me this is not purposely being done, where small little sections of the country are being taken over by foreigners to then enact their own basic laws that supersede American beliefs, American values, and American laws. By the way, where was Peter on that? Anyone check that out? The Protect Animal Rights Organization. I wonder if was there any outcry from them that, hey, you could actually sacrifice dogs and cats and lamb and goat and all that other type of stuff up there? I wonder if they cried about that. I didn't see anything about it, so I doubt it, which means they probably get funding, right? Just thinking logical here. Sorry, went too far. Stop critically thinking. Stop there. Back it up, back it up, back it up. Will do. Kick it back into low drive here. Kick it back into low drive. Copy that. So yesterday, we put some clips out after the show. You know, when Joe's like, yeah, we're going to cut it up, put it out there. He's talking to me, by the way. I'm sitting in the other room. I'm like, okay, that's my homework. I got to get this. I got to get this. Okay, he told me to do this. All right, got it. So yesterday he did that. So we put a couple of clips out yesterday. And it kind of seemed to poke Jeff Hunt a little bit. It poked Jeff Hunt a little bit that he felt the need to actually comment below one of our posts. So let's put that up. And this is Jeff Hunt's response to Joe. This is going to be A2. 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 There it is, Jeff Hunt. Hi, Joe. I actually said that you were likely to win the chairmanship, and I thought Victor was likely to win the primary. And I was asking how you two would come together. Our show is a right, left, center debate program. We've had people from all perspectives on. Denver's top talk radio show. I think you're mixing up my initial question with Victor's response. I never said haterade. No, you didn't, Jeff. But Victor said that. Victor's like, I want to encourage Joe to stop drinking the haterade. But that wasn't really what happened here, right? Because if you actually go underneath that post, let's put that post back up, please, Austin. You're okay, but Joe commented underneath it, and I believe in being all transparent here. So if we could get that Jeff Hunt post back up, all we have to do is just scroll underneath it, and we can put it up. But I'll read what Joe said. I am the mouthpiece for Joe right now, so be it. Joe said, "Then share that, Jeff. Instead, you shared the clip of a man questioning my integrity and you softballing it. My producer said that they reached out to you about 6 months ago and you said, no, thank you. I laughed because, frankly, you do not have a large following. I've been canceled on every platform, several such as this one 3 times, and I still manage to reach 6 to 8 million people a month, and I'm ranked in the top 0.1% of podcasts globally. I was trying to help you, and even then you had this hubris as if I was radioactive. I'm not. and I am well respected despite the slander like this across the nation. I say this because despite what the village idiot Victor says, I have never spent 5 minutes thinking about him. I am not a part of any group. I do not plan any or participate in any disclosures about him, and frankly, I don't really care if he is a bad candidate or not. The people are smart. They will figure it out. I say all this because Victor has dragged me into his world, fixated with ODS to a level that, frankly, is weird. Let me break it down for you. I care about the people, period. End stop. It has never been about me. It has never been about anything other than watching people suffer. I don't do well with it because I have talents I will use to make life better. That's my goal with being the Colorado chair. I'm all about having a conversation and even more okay with squashing whatever this is that you have going on about me. Just know the thing that guides me is simple, truth. Despite the slander and the attacks, I care about that. Call me a unicorn. So true. And Jeff Hunt, bullshit. You did not, your clip that you put up with that, no way, no how framed anything other than a way to come out against Joe. No way. Can't frame it any other way, buddy. What you framed there and how you framed that question and right into Victor's answer, bullshit, liar. Good job, Joe, correcting that on the stands. Good job, buddy. Proud of you. But I expect nothing else from Joe. That's just the reality. I expect nothing else from Joe is that he calls bullshit when he sees it and he brings the receipts along for the ride. And people hate that, right? Because that's the hard part when you get into debates with facts and then with your statements, you have the facts and then you bring the receipts behind it, right? That really pisses people off. Because then you got nowhere to go other than to character assassinate. Because you can't win an argument with someone that's fully prepared, that has the data to prove that why they're right. You lose every time. So what do? You assassinate. You go after character. We'll save that for later. And then there's a report that just got published. We're going to go to A5, Austin. There's a report that was just published from the Colorado Chamber of Commerce. Let's put this up real quick. This talks about the economic consequences of the political party that dominates life out here in Colorado, the Democrats. This talks about the actual economic fallout that's going on. So let's talk about some key findings from this report, shall we? Since 2019, the Chamber found reports of 98 companies' relocations or lost opportunities from Colorado to other states. 27 of those were last year alone. So since 2019 to 2026, 7 years, 98 different companies have relocated from Colorado, either have left or chosen not to locate here. When jobs data was available, the report directly links over 13,600 lost Colorado jobs to these companies. Texas is by far the greatest winner when it comes to attracting Colorado businesses. Overall, 21 companies chose Texas to relocate to. California was second with 10. North Carolina and Arizona tied for third and fourth with 6, and Florida with fifth with 5 companies. In an analysis of federal SEC filings, the report found that since 2022, Colorado has experienced a net loss of 34 public company headquarters, which includes a total gain of 36 headquarters, but a loss of 70 in that same period. 2024 alone experienced a net loss of 20 headquarters from the prior year. 2025 has seen the lowest number of total public company headquarters based in Colorado in the years covered since 2019. Companies don't always share why they've chosen to relocate, but when further context was given in public news reports, the Chamber included them in this report. Factors mentioned as to why relocation occurred include more favorable business climates in other states, specific tax or regulatory policies, and talent pool availability. So long story short, businesses are fleeing the state of Colorado. The state is losing massive revenue, and we are operating in a budget shortfall. How is all this remotely going to be possible to pull off and balance a budget when you can't keep good paying clients in your state because your state policies drive them out because you're off the rails. Crime's off the rails. Social movements in this state are off the rails. Okay, businesses don't want this shit in their jobs. I've learned this. I've come across, businesses don't want this shit. Businesses want to make money as easily and as efficient as possible with helping as many people as easily as possible, right? Just make everything smooth and easy, improve life, make things better, easier transactions. Colorado doesn't do that. Colorado regulates and taxes the shit out of you, slows things down, government oversight, right? That's all purposely done to make sure your business doesn't have the chance to succeed. And that if your business does succeed, I'm going to hit you over the head with all these taxes, fees, and regulations that you're never going to be able to actually turn a profit. That's why these companies are leaving the state. Because it's very obvious that this state is not business friendly when it comes to their policies. And the reason why is because you got a bunch of retards in the state capitol that don't know shit about anything other than being social justice warriors. Social justice warriors. That's who's in the Capitol State House. That's why nothing ever gets done that's productive. That's why the moment that the Colorado got slapped down in the Supreme Court, that's why they immediately went back and said, no, I didn't. Boom. Boom, we're still going to get what we want because they don't give a shit. Okay, money to them, oh, we could just, man, fuck it, who cares? Boop, 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 boop. Businesses want to grow? No. Businesses said we need help downtown. We need crime cleaned up. We need the streets cleaned so that it will attract customers to come back to our businesses. Well, what did the state do? Nothing. What did the city do? Nothing. No one talks about it, but it's the truth. 16th Street Mall, if you know it, the Denver metro area, it's like a ghost town. You have stores boarded up. You have windows smashed in. Right, you got social workers that are down there doing security, but meanwhile they're smoking weed with the homeless bums that are on the corner. Go figure. Go figure. All while the American taxpayer can't access a good part of the city because they don't want to put themselves in a possible dangerous situation where the police won't support them. Because the police have been conditioned in liberal cities to kind of leave everything alone. Yeah. This was not how I planned the show to go today. I planned for Joe to be in chair. I do apologize. But this is how it went. So thank you for staying with us. I'm going to pray us out right now. So in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Lord, thank you for the pleasant surprise of hopping in the chair today and vent my frustrations to the public. Thank you for that opportunity and the freedom to still do that, Lord. I appreciate that. Thank you, Lord, for America First Legal, the law group that has chosen to take my case on and represent me in this long legal battle against Cherry Creek and through the corrupt judicial system. Thank you for that opportunity, Lord. That is a tremendous lifeline that I couldn't have asked for anything more from. Thank you for that. Thank you for my family. Thank you for my son. Thank you for the life that we still have together. Dear Lord, please give our leaders the courage and the heart to make good and difficult choices to restore law and order to our once great society. I have not turned my back on you, Lord. Please don't include me when the wrath comes for these people. Hey, Grandma, Grandpa, Dad, love you guys. Think about you every day. Thank you for being a part of this as well. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. All right, everyone. Joe is in chair tomorrow. I believe so. I hope so. But if not, I don't plan on being in chair. But if I am, I'll look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. But until then, class dismissed.
Rise up untamed in the heart of the fire where the wild ones roam, Joe. bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave